Hello, this is Michael Ensel with Advertising Report Card, and today what we'll be walking through is our recruiting funnel product. Essentially, what we can build for you is an automatic recruiting department. What that means is that we can not only drive applicants, but throughout the entire application process, completely automate the qualification of each applicant. So the only time that you're really spending are time looking at someone's resume before their interview. Everything gets scheduled, everyone gets routed based off of qualifications. It's really cool. Let me hop right in. So, first of all, the different places that you can generate recruiting leads. Of course, there's Indeed and Monster and places that you can pay to list ads on, but this is for driving traffic from any place where you can hire to your actual website where you can manage the interview process. Yes, you can drive people from Indeed and Monster into this engine as well, but this idea specifically works for targeting people on these channels like Facebook, Instagram, Google Ads, YouTube, LinkedIn. We can target people different ways on these strategies, especially Facebook's a great way to get in front of people that have a specific job role in a specific industry, and if you can offer them something very interesting. So that's a different part of the service, is discussing more about driving. This video is going to dive deeper into the actual system. So when we drive the traffic, they hit the hiring page, and immediately what we're going to be looking to get here is their first name, last name, cell phone, and email. That's all we're going to ask for. Reason being is that we want to get them into the process and into the funnel, and we want to use that information to trigger other events to happen. As an example, once we get their cell phone, immediately what we're going to do is send them a text, hello, formal from the company, whether you'd want this to be a recruiter's name in the text so that you're introducing somebody formally, or if you just want to remain ominous as the company, say, hey, this is company name, or hey, this is recruiter name with company name, and introduced via text. Also, Ringless voicemail is a very cool feature. Basically, we can send a pre-recorded message. It's very nice to have the CEO or someone who they're going to be eventually talking to or working for just have a pre-recorded audio that you can do on your iPhone or your phone, and we can upload it, and that way people will feel like they're getting a warm welcome the moment they apply for a company. It's one of those types of things a lot of people don't do, but when you do it, it creates personality. It makes things more personable and higher quality relationship building strategies. Like those are definitely beneficial. And then also with the email, sending the intro and instruction as well. So basically, the moment someone goes to your hiring page and fills out a form, they're getting 3 touch points from your department, completely automated. And this all is pointing to get them to finish the next step, which is selecting their job role. Now, let's say somebody fills out their information on the hiring page and never fills out the job role. Immediately after 60 minutes, if they leave the page, we're going to email them and tell them to finish what they were doing. Similar to if you are shopping online and you put something in your shopping cart and then Amazon says, hey, you didn't finish your order. Similar to that is how we will be following up with the leads in the recruiting funnel, and this is all done automatically. The first one goes out after 60 minutes, then we send the text after 2 hours, then we send an email after 24 hours, and then we send another text after 48 hours. See that there's a duplicate in there. Let's go ahead and fix that. So at any point in time when they do get back to this page, we stop sending the messages. But if they continue to not fill this out, we'll continue to follow up and push them to the next stage, which is when they select their job role. So now you know what their information is and what role they're looking for. At this stage, you can either create different routes entirely based off of the job role they're applying for. In order to keep things extremely simple, I recommend pushing them to a qualifying page, and then this is where the routing changes. So once they select their job role, you can have qualifying questions. Typically, a very easy one to pick is years experience. And as you can see here as well, we have the follow-up structure too. And the reason being is that, let's say they select job role, but then they don't do the qualifying questions. We're going to try to push them back to the qualifying questions stage. Just to make a statement on how this is supposed to look, the hiring page is an actual page. Once they submit this information, they'll be redirected to this job role page, and it'll just be very simple with just that one question so they can select the job role. The reason why we break these stages up is because it's known that if you have long forms, less people fill them out. Actually, after you get somebody's name, phone number, and email, a traditional contact form, every additional field you add has a percentage loss rate of how many people fill the form out. This structure allows you to be more efficient because you're letting people answer questions at a time. And if they fall out on a specific question, you can follow up. If you just had one long form and you never got their cell phone or email because they never submitted it, that's a lost opportunity. So that's the reason why we have this broken into different steps. So as we move forward, years experience is the example for the qualifying question. Let's say that they don't have enough experience. What we do is we can send them to a landing page that says thank you. I always recommend putting a personal video on there and telling them thank you for your interest. Right now we are filling our roles and we don't have any availability, but we'll follow up. In the meantime, follow us on LinkedIn for new job posts, or like us on Facebook to keep in touch with what we're doing. We post a lot of good stuff that you can learn from, and also push them to sign up for your email newsletter. Also send them an email thanking them with the same effort. Reason being is that you don't want them in the funnel. You don't want to talk to these individuals. They're not qualified. There's no reason to take things further. And if you have to look at every single person who applies information without at least qualifying a part of those steps, the problem you're going to run into is that you're going to spend hours of time wasted looking into people that were never qualified to begin with. So that's why this step is significant. One thing I wanted to mention here as well is that this can be customized. It doesn't have to be one question. It can be multiple questions. It can be multiple steps as far as what different types of things are qualifying. It's just the only difference is extending the actual development of building out the system custom for you. So when we go through these steps in the service, we have everything mapped out, and then that's when we map out exactly how you want your specific flow to work. So let's say somebody is qualified based off of the years of experience. They're going to get pushed to the next step of the form, which is form number 4. They are qualified. The step here is going to be to upload their resume. Reason being is that you want to immediately get as much information from them at this point as possible. The resume is going to have the most information. And then from there, you can always ask more specific questions, which is why I have step 5, additional questions. But if they entered in their information, picked a job role with enough years experience, as an example, the qualifying question that would qualify them as someone you're interested in speaking to, then you're going to want to immediately try to get that resume. There's a lot of steps that you can do here. A lot of companies try to automatically create resumes from LinkedIn profiles and all other kinds of fancy stuff. Instead of making it as fancy as possible, we try to make things as simple and functional as possible. We don't try to have the shiny object distraction when it comes to this process. The main thing is qualifying leads to set appointments for hiring, which is why the recruiting funnel is here. So with that being said, let's say they're qualified, but then they don't upload their resume. We're going to push them back to this page. Hey, upload your resume, upload your resume, upload your resume. Once they upload their resume, they're going to get pushed the additional questions. If they don't answer these questions, we're going to keep pushing them back to the additional questions. Likewise, if the additional questions after they upload the resume aren't super important, we can actually take these and route directly to the next step. So we can skip pushing back to the additional questions. Again, this whole system can be customized to what works best for your business. And then last but not least, once they answer the additional questions, they get sent to the calendar. So this is the interview number 1. It's really important to distinguish that most companies who do interviews have more than one interview, because you have a qualifying interview with somebody and then you bring on the decision maker or someone else who is only supposed to be on there to vet the final candidates. Now, you can also make this the one and only, but the system is built for traditional businesses that require 2 interviews. One, the first, and then the second is the specifics and the detailed one. As you can see here as well, if they're qualified, they answered all the questions, but they didn't book their interview, we're going to follow up with them to push them to book the interview. And this is also when you can start to get involved, because you're going to get a notification on your end saying, hey, you have a new candidate. They're filling out their resume. This person's not qualified. This person is qualified. Then you can say, okay, well, here's this bucket of people that are qualified. Have they all booked their interviews? And if they haven't, this, after all these things that have happened, is the only time that you'll have to intervene, because you can step in and say, hey, look, we want to schedule this interview. You can reach out to them. You can call them. You can text them. But up until this point, you've had to do nothing. It's all done for you automatically. So with that being said, once they book their interview, they get an email, a text message, and a Ringless voicemail saying, hey, can't wait to meet you. I'm looking forward to our interview. Please make sure to bring materials A, B, and C. and prepare 1, 2, and 3, whatever things that you want to do instruction wise. And you can put that in the email as well. And then the SMS can just be a general thank you. Having these multiple touch points keeps people engaged, and it's going to keep you top of mind for them. It also gets people excited knowing that they're working for a company that has this type of engagement and service. So with that being said, next you're going to get an email after the confirmation 24 hours in advance. Say, hey, look, we have this. Don't forget, bring these things. If you need to reschedule, let us know. And there's a reschedule link in this email that we can enact as well that allows them to actually pick a different time if they have to. And then 1 hour beforehand, we send another email with a link to a Zoom or a link to however you guys prefer to do your online booking, or if it's just a number that you want to use to call into, you can put that in this email. And then you will also be pushed to the actual meeting. Last but not least, I also recommend sending out an SMS 10 minutes before, just in case they, for whatever reason, didn't see the emails. Just reminding them about the meeting that's about to occur in 10 minutes. Likely, if they have to reschedule, this is when they're going to say, hey, I can't make the meeting. Which, by the way, this is a recruiting funnel. It's not like you're following up on an actual lead for a sale. So someone's going to reschedule you 10 minutes beforehand. Not always a good sign. Maybe not a good hire. But at any rate, that's neither here nor there. After the interview, are they qualified or not? If they're not qualified, same steps. Say thank you. We're going to follow up once more roles are available. In the meantime, do these things. Send them a thank you email as well. Change this because this is actually would be email number 5. The reason why I label these emails by their cadences is because it's important to understand what is happening in what sequence. But the cool thing about this is look at all these touch points that you accomplished with this, not including anyone who fell out of the funnel. They'll get additional messages, but people who just in general, if they went all the way through the funnel and filled everything out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All of this communication is automated, and it's meant to be a service, like white glove treatment. And that's the real benefit. And if you wanted to, again, look at any other steps, you can go back in the video. But steps can also be added here. Keep that in mind. So with that being said, the next step after interview 1, if they're qualified, then you can send them to a congrats landing page. I also recommend having a video here. It's like, hey, congrats. We think that you're a great candidate. Thank you very much for the interview time. Wanted to follow up and schedule a second interview. Reason being is then that's when you can loop in the next person to be on the interview, and then you would send them to the calendar to book the second interview. Same follow-up sequence. I hope that you would get the picture on that. This was definitely a part of booking any appointment through this funnel. Would go right here as well. But yeah, that's pretty much the recruiting funnel in a nutshell. Again, the custom workflow aspect of this is what comes with the service build out itself, this exact build out. What we do is we help with the driving of the actual leads into the funnel. But think about it this way as well. Even if we weren't driving the leads for you, which is a different part, there's 2 parts of the recruiting, which is the recruiting campaign, which is this section, and then there's the recruiting system. If you just had the system and you sent people down this pipeline yourself, like let's say somebody walked in and gave you an application. I know that pre-COVID, that was probably a little bit more of a thing, depending on what business you're in. Or let's say somebody is referred to you. You can send them all through this funnel. They'll qualify because if they're referred to, then you know that they're going to put the right information in. And you'll never really have to go through this process again. The real big win here as well is the booking. Because having to follow up with leads to find times to communicate is always a pain. But this calendar syncs to your calendar. It'll show your availability, and we can change the calendar for how long the call should be, 30 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour. We can change how many calls you can book in that calendar a day. Let's say you only want to do 3 or 4 interviews a day. We can select that for you. So there's a lot of cool value hidden in each and every one of these steps. The way that the process works is once you sign up for the recruiting funnel, we interview you in regards to your entire process. We map everything out. And then we also have scripts for the text messages and emails that we'll send that we recommend. And then you can modify that to fit your need as well. Again, this is Michael Ensler with Advertising Report Card. If you like what you see here and you are interested in getting this built out, please let me know. Happy to do so. Whether you want this exact format or if you want something custom fit to your business. More simple, more complicated, more things involved, more integrations, more automation, we are happy to fit it to your needs. Thank you very much for listening.